Hey guys, welcome back! Better Than a Let's Play episode 28. I'm Enigmius, and today we're continuing with our Testificate Mega Build. Should come as no surprise to anyone who's been following the series. It's a very, very large structure that we're in the process of building, and it's going to take us a little while. We're on the second floor, and by second floor I mean from the top down, because we started at the top, we're working our way down. I don't know how many floors are going to be in this thing. I just know that it's large. It's very large. We can't see the bottom of it from here. And I don't even have a complete idea from top to bottom what it's going to look like. I'm just kind of winging it on a floor-by-floor basis. Now, the one thing that I decided I wanted to do was add something that basically starts at this second level and extends up past the upper level where the blue slime is flopping around now. Because we did that sort of weird sail kind of design on the top of that sort of extra penthouse annex, whatever you want to call it, and I realized that it would look probably even better if it had something playing off it. So that's part of the idea. Now, as a part of that, I have to get the leading edge of that second floor sorted out, because if you look at it now, it's not doing so good. It kind of, if you go from the right to the left, it curves a little bit, and then when it gets to about the middle is where it just goes to hell. It doesn't really know what sort of curve it's trying to follow or where it should be going, and it's going to take a little bit of fiddling before we get it sorted out. So if you see me down there working on it, that's what I'm doing, is trying to sort it out and get it to at least the point where when your eye rests on it, you say, oh, that's kind of neat, as opposed to, that is bloody hideous. Because then your eye stays on it and you don't see anything else. We kind of like to avoid that because of the amount of work that's going into this guy. Now you can see also we've got our supportive arches under the top floor, and they're made with scaffolds and cobblestone. Really simple materials list, and even the design is quite simple. It's just as close as we could get to an arch-shaped design with the cobblestone, using some micro blocks to smooth it out, and then the scaffolding to make it look different. Because if we had made it out of all cobblestone or even all stone, you wouldn't even notice really that they were there, and that would be kind of a pointless endeavor to have these arches in, because they look like they could be serving a practical purpose if we really had to deal with physics in this game, but because we don't, if they don't look good, they don't really serve a purpose in this case. So I really like the way the scaffold looks in place of actual wood kind of truss work, whatever you want to call it. But because we've extended this floor out, and the leading edge is looking better already. It's looking a little bit less crooked. Not perfect, but it's better than it was. But because we extended it out, it made sense that we add a half arch out into the middle of the upper floor and then just leave it. We don't need more than that. We can't fit more than that. So we'll just kind of put it in and then start working on that structure that's going to pass up in front of the area where the blue slime is still flopping around. See, when I get building, I tend to not even notice them unless I'm working directly below them, and then all the slime drops passing through the ceiling kind of remind me, oh yeah, that guy's still up there making a mess. Eventually there's going to have to be testificates up there, so I need to keep an eye on how quickly these guys respawn, because I don't want to be pillaging villages for their population only to come back and find that this slime has wiped them all out. That would be probably a worst case scenario. So here I'm just kind of winging it. I don't want it to look like a chimney. I don't want it to look like a slapped on addition. I want this to look like something, whether it's like a watchtower or an observatory kind of thing. I don't feel the need to give it a name. I just want it to look like it was purpose built, as opposed to just adding pieces on here and there, trying to get a look that never actually ends up being achieved because it's too contrived. So part of being something that looks like it's supposed to be there is you have to have room for people. So there's not a lot of room in there, and I've kind of decided one of the things that I might end up doing with this whole structure to try and balance the population of the testificates between the levels is set it up so that all of the breeding happens on the top floor, and then there are only select locations where they can actually get down to the levels below that will be literally like holes in the floor that they can fall through and get caught in a little basin of water so that they don't die or take a lot of fall damage. And then they hop out and they go around, and eventually they will trickle down, but they won't do what they did in the last Testificate mega build, which was basically all congregate on one floor and make for a very, very crowded sort of mess. So that means we'll probably end up having to make some additions to these structures up here, or at least some modifications to them so that the breeding can take place, because it's not much use to us if we can only find, you know, a village worth of Testificates and we've got this massive structure that we need to fill with them. It'd take me longer to populate it than it would to actually build it. So this is, I'm actually, as it's going up, I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with how it's going to end up looking. And again, just using the microblocks a little bit to smooth things out as best I can. And then here we've got this part that's just kind of alongside the sail. It doesn't really have much of a purpose. This is, anyone who looks at it is purely aesthetic, but we'll put a light on top of it or near the top and kind of smooth it out, do what we can. And already I'm much happier with the way the sail on the back looks now that we've got something in front for it to play off of. It just seems like it's coming together, and it kind of gives me an idea for what to do with the next floor. The floor below, like I said, I don't have a plan for how this is going to go from top to bottom. Now this is where it got really, really tricky, because I've got these arches that I want to keep and that I want to be able to see, because we put all the effort into designing them and building them so that they looked kind of neat. I don't want to bury them with the structure. At the same time, I don't want to make this silly tent-like thing with an oval, you know, a half oval roof that matches the arches and just call it at that. So lots of weird angles, lots of weird corners. Unless we wanted to just build rectangles, you know, basically build the equivalent of boxes stacked on top of boxes, inside boxes, around boxes, and then carve out walls and things of that nature. That wasn't really gonna fly. So I messed around a little bit with glass and getting part of the ceiling to match the arches so that you could look through the structure with the glass and kind of get a feel for exactly what's going on structurally. Like, yes, it's an open floor, goes from one side to the other, passes through. There's really nothing on either side. It's just sky. And then we'll leave the arches exposed. Sounds simple enough, but when I actually got around to the actual building, it took a little while. Just like before, you can see we'll put some glass in and we'll take a look, and then we'll see we have to get the rails in. You can see, as I'm doing on the back edge there, putting in the rails so that we can see where the walls will have to go. And then once we get an idea of where the walls have to go, we have to figure out how the walls are going to intersect with the roof up top and what materials to make it all out of. Took a while. It was fun. It was really challenging from a build perspective, which is kind of neat, because sometimes the challenge is just trying to get the shape out of my head and into the game. But this was actually a case of my previous efforts had already created the shape, and now I had to figure out how I was going to fit some other interesting shape inside of it. And that's what this ended up being. So I'm just going to let you watch this last couple of minutes here, the building and putting in the different partitions across the different places. The next episode, we'll finish off the second floor. Maybe we'll have some ideas about the third floor. I don't know. That's several hours of building away. So by all means, leave your comments and feedback below. If you want to be notified when I add the next video, you can subscribe to my channel. You could follow me on Twitter at Enigmius1. You can do the Google Plus thing, following stuff, or, you know, watch around on Reddit. Sometimes I post on forums, sometimes. Not so much for Minecraft anymore, but you know how it is, Minecraft and the videos. People just get sick of the videos. So I only post them if they're like really groundbreaking, and this isn't. This is just building in ways that might irritate people, which is probably a good reason actually to post in the forums, because payback is a bitch. Anyways, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.